for this project, you'll need one piece of paper, a pencil, something to color with. I used markers, but you can use crayons or paint, or if you want to skip the whole coloring step, you could also use construction paper if you happen to have it at home. I don't, so I colored. And some tape and a pair of scissors. Today's project is about weaving. Weaving is the art of twisting threads over and under other threads to make cloth.
Hi, I'm Elda from PS Arts, and today's art project is inspired by the work of weavers. We're going to look at two different types of artist weavers, and the first is traditional from Peru. Fred, my llama here, is a present that a friend of mine brought back from Peru. But what I wanted to show you was his special blanket, and it was woven by traditional artists in Peru. As you can see, there's lots and lots of bright colors, there's different sizes of stripes, there's patterns in some of the stripes, and it can get really, really intricate and complicated and beautiful. In Peru, llamas are used as pack animals, so they carry all of the heavy stuff that needs to go up a mountain, up the Andes Mountains, and the people decorate their llamas. So they get decked out in these beautiful blankets. They have these tassels that they wear. Sometimes they even have ear pom-poms. They're beautiful.
Here you can see some of the native people of Peru, the Quechua people, wearing their traditional dress. And you can see they're wearing their weavings, and they're bright and energetic colors and so full of life and fun. And yes, I do believe that is a baby llama or maybe an alpaca, but I'm going to go with llama sitting in that woman's purse. So when we were working on our project, keep in mind all these beautiful, bright, bold, energetic colors.
And the second type of weaver that we're going to look at is an avant-garde weaver, somebody who totally went against the established rules for what weaving could be. And her name is Anni Albers. The piece that we're looking at and are inspired by today is called Black, White, and Yellow and was made in 1926.
As you can see, there are bright, bold colors. There are really strong geometric shapes. And back when Annie was weaving in 1926, nobody was really doing things like that. They were really doing more traditional weaving styles and didn't think of weaving as even an art. But she went against that, and she used thread and yarn almost the way that painters were using paint at that time. So our first step is to have the paper facing you horizontally. So that's the longest part of the paper closest to your body. And then you're going to fold your paper in half. And then, once you've done that, use that fold line to guide your scissors as you cut your paper in half so that you end up with two sheets of paper that are about the same size. So now is the time to break out your boldest, brightest color markers, inspired by both Peru and Anni Albers. And you're going to color stripes about the same size each vertically. So you're going from the top of your paper all the way down, the longest way that you can go. Here I used red, bright turquoise, bright pink, red again, orange, and then bright pink again, because I really like the way that the hot colors look with a little bit of a pop of a blue. But you can use whatever colors you want. It usually looks the best if you kind of keep it in the same color family with just a little pop of color. Now that you're done with your vertical stripes, you're going to turn your other piece of paper towards you again horizontally, so the longest edge of the paper closest to your body. I folded it in half again just so I could see where the middle was, and then I drew a black line down the center because I'm going to want to color half of my paper in a really dark color, and I chose black as my dark color. It makes the bright colors that you have chosen really pop. Once you've colored half of your sheet black or some other really dark color, choose two more colors. One color from the sheet of paper that you were coloring vertically, so I chose the blue, and then one color that is completely different than everything else, and that's going to be your Anni Albers inspired pop of color. So I chose yellow for mine. Once you've done all your coloring, you should have two sheets of paper that look something like this. Okay, so once you have two sheets like that, put aside your thick stripe paper, and we're going to work with our thinner stripe paper for the moment, and you are going to fold it in half. And what we're doing here is we're creating our loom, which you will see after a few more steps. And then you're going to want to find a straight-edged something. I'm using this piece of cardboard, which isn't totally straight, but you could use the edge of a book, an edge of a magazine, a ruler if you happen to have one, anything that's pretty straight. And then about an inch down from the top of your paper, the part where the two pieces meet, not the part where it's folded, you're going to make a line. I used a pen here because it was having trouble being seen on camera, but you should use a pencil so you have a nice light line that kind of disappears when we're done with the project. And then get your scissors and you're going to cut along the line from where the fold is to the top of your line, and then you're going to stop. You want it to still be attached after you're cutting. And then go ahead and cut all of those stripes. So what we've made here is our loom. The stripes going down are going to act like our warp threads. So those are the threads that are going vertically, and it's going to hold our whole weaving together. Now we're going to work on our weft threads. Those are the threads that we're going to go over and under and over and under our warp threads on our loom. So snip the shortest side of the paper and make strips of paper all the way across. You can make them thick, you can make them thin, you can do both kinds, but make sure they're thick enough that you can hold on to them without them ripping. Okay, here we go. We're going to get to the exciting part, the weaving. So take one of your weft threads, the short ones, and we're going to start by going over your first warp thread. So over your first stripe, and then under your second stripe, over your third stripe, under your fourth stripe, over your fifth stripe, and then again ending underneath. So you see how one's going, it's always going over, under, over, under, over, under. So your next weft thread, we are going to start the opposite of the first one. So the first one we went over, and the second one we're going to start our weft thread underneath the first stripe. And then over the second stripe. So you're making kind of a checkerboard pattern. And you're going to keep going with your weft threads over, under, and then switching under, over, under, over, under, over, until you get to close to the end of your loom. So I saved my Anni Albers piece close to the very end of my loom, and I'm going to start weaving it here. And it's just one chunk of color that stands out from the rest of all the other colors that I have. And then finish with the rest of your weft threads. And the last bit is to secure all of your loose parts. So make sure all of the pieces are where you want them. Get out your tape, and then when you flip over your piece, tape down any of the loose ends.
And that's it. We're done. This is my Anni Albers Peruvian textile inspired paper weaving. You can frame it, you can put it on your wall, you can decorate your llama with it, maybe if you have a llama. But until next time, remember, no matter where you are, you have the freedom to imagine and the power to create.
Ask a grown-up if you could share your work on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook.